Hello and welcome back to our video tutorial where we are discussing the procedures for using the iPad and the associated applications that you will need to successfully complete the 2020 survey season. In this video, we will be looking at the 2020 Seatbelt survey application for survey data collection. We will look at its functionality to collect data in real time as you are surveying at your site. We will also take a look at how you can use it in the unlikely event that you will need to collect your survey data first on paper and then submit it through the tool after the fact. Once you've arrived at your survey site and you've logged in on your iPad, your home screen will appear. Now we will select the app labeled 2020 Seatbelt Survey. This launches a screen for the home of the 2020 Seatbelt Survey. As you open it, you'll be asked to input your name and the site ID of the location that you are about to survey. When you touch the observer name box, a list will appear. From this list, you will see all of the observer names. Select your name by tapping it. Next, you will need to select the site ID from the button to the right of the words Site to View. Again, as you touch that button, a full listing of all survey sites will appear. You can scroll until you find your site. However, including alternate sites, there are over 800 listed in this pop-up box. Instead, you can tap the search box here next to the magnifying glass icon to search for your site ID. When you touch it, your keyboard now appears as a pop-up, and you can begin to type the site number. I'm looking for site 451, so I've typed 45, and as I do so, it reduces my list to only those that meet the numbers I've typed in so far. Now the list is much more manageable, and I select the site 451, where I'm ready to observe simply by touching that number in the screen. That returns me back to the home screen, where you can select Begin Survey. This will take us to the next step of a survey called the pre-survey screen. Here in the pre-survey screen, you will see first on the left-hand side all of the basic information for your site, the site ID, the basic road name where it's located, the county where it's located, and its longitude and latitude coordinates. Here we need to input the basic information from the site, including whether it's a pre-mobilization or a statewide. Please ignore the rural option. You'll need to enter the speed of the traffic. You'll enter the week if it's first week or second week of statewide. If you're doing pre-mobilization, simply select first, as there's only 1 week of pre-mobilization surveys. You will select weather conditions as well. And you will notice as each one of these, as you select each one of these, they become highlighted. We also need to enter the number of lanes available and the number of lanes recorded. You can do this simply by touching the box, and when you do so, you'll notice that the screen slides up slightly and you have your keyboard accessible to enter each of these identifiers, the available lanes and the recorded lanes. You'll need to touch each box and enter them individually. To be able to start the survey, you need to get rid of the keyboard. Anytime that you want to do that, you simply touch this keyboard button in the lower right-hand corner, and it will slide the keyboard out of your way and return you to your current screen. Now that we've entered all information into the pre-survey screen, we are ready to begin the data collection. You do that by simply selecting this button. This takes us to the next step in a survey process. This next screen is called the survey screen. It begins an immediate countdown from the 40-minute that you have to do this survey. You can pause it at any time with the button in the upper right-hand corner. You'll see here in the center the beginning of the countdown and the pause button here. Each vehicle you record requires that you select the vehicle type on the left and the driver's seatbelt use. You will not be able to submit the vehicle survey if no option for either of these is selected. Additionally, you will need to enter passenger data if a passenger is present in the vehicle. If not, this is left as an optional thing, so please do not select it. Once you've recorded each of the vehicle data, then you can select the next entry button in the bottom right-hand corner. But as you select each button, you'll notice that it becomes highlighted. So here we've selected car, and we've selected the driver as yes for seatbelt use. You'll also notice that the vehicle types are color-coded so that you'll have a visual and a location cue that, with practice, will allow you to enter your entries quicker. Once you've recorded the vehicle data, you select the next entry button, and you are taken to the same screen but refreshed. And you'll notice here that we've now collected and recorded one vehicle entry. The app increments that each time that you hit next entry. You will not see a count displayed for each vehicle type or for the driver or passenger counts. It's a total count of the vehicles recorded. We will continue to enter our data throughout the 40-minute countdown in this same way. Here I've selected truck. I've selected driver no seatbelt and passenger no seatbelt, and now I can enter this new recording. If you forget to select one of the mandatory, either the vehicle type or the driver seatbelt use, you will receive an error message that says that you have missing values. You will hear an audible ding as well as a small vibration to the iPad letting you know that you have missed this data. So here I've missed selecting that the driver seatbelt, their information, yes, no, or unknown. So I received this prompt. I'm returned to the screen where I can correct the entry, the missing value. If you've made a bad selection, for instance, you've hit yes instead of no for the driver, or no instead of yes, you can simply correct it by touching the correct one, which will highlight the one that you mean to. Or you can hit the clear button in the upper right-hand corner next to pause, and that will clear all of the entries, including the vehicle type, the driver, and the passenger information. The survey app will keep a running total of all of your recorded vehicles throughout the survey. When the timer reaches 0 in your 40-minute survey, the survey stops immediately. It doesn't ask you if you want to be taken to the next screen. It automatically takes you so that you can't enter additional information after the 40-minute period. This next screen is called the post-survey screen, where you're allowed to enter comments. Here you're going to add description of the location or any details if you've had to move and relocate yourself to a slightly different position. For instance, if there's construction or safety concern, or if you've had to go to an entirely different site ID that's been assigned to you from either Richard or Todd. You would enter that information here that you're using an alternate site. When you touch this box, it will bring up the keyboard again, and you simply type out those details that we need from your site description and anything that you noticed about or any changes you've had to make at this survey. When you're done, you tap the keyboard icon to make the keyboard disappear. And now that it's disappeared, you're able to complete your site and go to view results, which is the last step to finalize a survey. This gives you very minimal information for you to confirm, just that you are the observer, the date that you've done it, the time that you started, and the site ID that you are collecting. It also lists out additional weather information, the number of vehicles you recorded, and it shows you the comments that you've added. When you're done, you simply click Finish Survey, and you're returned to the main screen. If you have good cell connection, you can immediately submit your survey. If not, you can wait until you've completed all of the surveys for the day and then upload those individually at the end of the day. To submit a survey, you simply select the button Submit Survey in the lower left-hand corner. This brings up a pop-up window listing all of the surveys, either one that you've completed. There will be two sections. At the top, it'll list out all the surveys that you've completed but not yet submitted. And below that, once you've submitted something, it will list those in a separate category. We will select the site ID I just completed, number 451, simply by touching it. This brings up an email with an attachment that includes all the data that I will need to process all of the surveys together. If it isn't already included, you need to put my email in there correctly. As you see it here, make sure that you have the period between my first and last names, todd.tuel@atelier.com. You will see here is the attachment for the county you've just completed. I would like that you also enter some information into the body of the email that you're sending. I'd like you to include your name, the county name that this site is from, and the site ID. As you see here, I've entered my own name, Todd Tuel, and the county Kit Carson, and the site ID 451. To do this, you simply touch anywhere in the body of the email, and that gives you your keyboard again and allows you to type in these details. Then when you're finished, simply remove the keyboard. That takes you back to a full screen view. And when you've confirmed you have everything there, you simply touch the blue arrow in the upper right-hand corner. That's the send button. Now, if your connection is good, you'll receive a confirmation email. You can only send one survey at a time. So you would select OK to continue performing your next survey, or if you have additional surveys you want to submit, you're now taken back to the introductory screen. In the unlikely situation that arises where you have to collect your surveys on paper, you will be trained in a separate manner on how to collect these on paper, but you will be able to take your calculations and totals from that paper survey and enter them in the same application. To do this alternate entry method, first select the gear icon in the upper right-hand corner. When you do so, you will receive the settings pop-up window. To begin entering your data from the paper survey form, you need to toggle on the Use Alternate Input option. To do this, you simply touch the toggle switch here. When it's engaged, it looks like this with the circle slid to the right and a green background visible. Once it is turned on, you simply touch anywhere else in the screen outside of the settings box to return to your main screen. Now you are ready to begin the entry of data from your paper survey. You will do it exactly the same as before, first by selecting your name and the site ID that you've already performed. And once you have done that, you select Begin Survey button, and it will take you to the pre-survey just as you've done before. You've collected this information on paper this time, and now you're going to begin entering it in to the iPad app. All of the same things that you did before, confirming it is the right site information, the survey title, the speed, the week, the lanes available and lanes recorded, and weather all need to be entered. Once you've done this, you can select Begin Data Collection. And here's where things will be a little bit different. You're taken to a new screen where you can add each of those 30 categories. These are for each belted and non-belted and unobservable for each vehicle category, as well as you'll see across the top, it's for the driver, and you'll see the bottom 3 boxes in a row for the passenger data. You'll need to enter each one of these by touching the box next to that category, and the keyboard tool appears. Here I'm going to touch the cars text entry box, and that pops up. Oops. That will pop up the keyboard that will allow you to enter the number for the total calculation there. Because the keyboard will force the screen to slide once you start entering the passenger data, I recommend that you enter all of the driver data first, and then when you're complete with that, you can start entering the passenger data. You'll see here, once I started entering the cars for the passenger belted category, it slid the entire screen upward, so you can't even see the data for the drivers any longer. If you do encounter a box that you cannot see and you cannot enter that total calculation, you will simply need to retract the keyboard with the keyboard button to display the entire screen again, where you can then select that entry box that is still missing. You'll need to enter a value into each of these boxes. Even if the calculation total is a 0, you need to enter a 0 in that box. Once you have an entry in all 30 boxes, you are ready to complete the data entry from your paper completed survey. Simply hit the Complete button, and that takes you once again to the post-survey comments section. You still need to add the details that you collected in your paper survey method, such as details regarding the location or any move that you had to make. Once you've done this, click View Results, and that takes you to the screen that you're familiar with, where you can confirm all of the basic details of the survey you just entered. When you've done this, you can hit Finish Survey. That takes you back to the same introductory screen that we're familiar with. And now you can email me that survey you've just completed in the exact same manner as you did before. When you touch that button to submit surveys, you will see now a list in 2 categories, not submitted and submitted. So we can see the one we previously submitted for site 451 is now in a new category as submitted. And now we have the site that we just entered from the paper, originally from a paper-based method, number 453 is now available for us to submit via email. When you select that one, again, you will come to an email that will have the attachment for the data file of everything that you're preparing to upload. Please remember to confirm that it's being sent to the proper email address. Include your name, the county name, and the site ID in the body of the email, just as before. And once that's complete, you send it in the same way with a blue arrow that acts as the send button. Again, you'll receive an email confirmation message, hit OK, and you have one more step to complete this. You will need to toggle off the alternate input option once you've entered anything you've collected on paper. Again, you do this by touching the gear icon in the upper right-hand corner to get the settings menu. Now you're going to reverse the process from how we turned it on to turn it off. You need to touch that circle in the green and slide it to the left. When the circle is moved to the left and no green is visible, this input option for paper collected surveys is now successfully disabled. It's very important that you do this to allow yourself to return to our preferred digital collection method. Remember, when you're collecting it on paper, these are very unusual circumstances where your iPad for some reason is not functioning or the app is not functioning. That's the only reason that we would be collecting them on paper. Also, you'll note here in the settings menu an option that says delete submitted surveys. Please do not use this, as your iPad is acting as the backup copy until we've confirmed that all surveys have been received. We want to keep them on your iPad until then. Once you have toggled off the alternate input option, you can touch anywhere else in the screen to continue back to the main screen. This now concludes the basic training for the survey tool and the step-by-step guide to collecting surveys both digitally in real time, as well as entering and submitting data from a paper collected survey. Please make sure to discuss any questions that you have with your team supervisor or with Todd. Thank you again for joining us today.